On September 16th, 1959, Cor, Jenny and Erika left home at 5:30 in the morning for their first road trip through the United States. After their 2-week holiday, Cor sent a 17-page travelogue to their family back home, partly to tell them about their wonderful holiday, but also to have something to look back on. He trusted it would be kept safe in the family archives, together with the letters and photographs that were sent back home. They had traveled in a triangle with Los Angeles, Gallup, New Mexico, and Salt Lake City, Utah as the three corners. Cor encouraged the readers to get the atlas out so they could follow along with their trip. He added a warning that, even though it looked like a very small triangle, it had been a 4,000-kilometer journey, about the same distance as a return trip from the Netherlands to Athens, Moscow, or northern Lapland. They had been a little anxious about how Erika would do during the trip, but she exceeded their expectations. Cor had turned the back seat of the car into a play area by filling up the foot space with cushions from their couch. In case of emergency, they had brought a little bag of balloons to entertain her with, though later on, when some had popped, they also worked to keep her quiet, because she'd gotten a little afraid of them. Traveling by car made packing easier. Cor and Jenny used to go sailing in the summer and traveled by bike, so they were used to packing light. This time they could bring whatever they wanted since there was more than enough space in the car. They left early in the morning because they had to drive through the Mojave Desert, and that's not a place you want to be stranded in the heat of the day. The freeway was already very busy. It was still dark, and the trucks looked like driving Christmas trees, all sides covered with lights. The desert was bare and dry, but still greener than they had imagined. Every day around 4 p.m. they made sure they had reached their motel for the night. Their neighbors had lent them a book with AAA motels that had descriptions and prices so they could plan ahead. The interior of most motels was very American, lots of florals on the walls and carpets. They all had air conditioning, central heating, and a bathtub or shower. Some of them even had swimming pools and a TV in the room. Instead of dinners, Cor, Jenny, and Erika had big lunches, which were like dinners to them, and had picnics for the other meals of the day. Their first stop was the Grand Canyon. All of a sudden, the landscape had changed and there was an enormous hole, like they'd reached the ends of the earth. It was so big that it was impossible to capture on camera. Even the human eye couldn't take it all in. You can't really see the Grand Canyon, you have to experience it, they wrote to their family. After their first stop, they traveled on toward Gallup, New Mexico, which was known as the Native American capital of the states. This is where they saw and met Native Americans for the first time. Their expectations had been influenced by the illustrations in Karl May's novels, but they thought there were more similarities with the people from Java, who they were more familiar with in the Netherlands. In Colorado, they visited Mesa Verde National Park, where the ancestral Pueblo people had built thriving communities on the mesas and in the cliffs. Cor and Jenny were amazed by the cliff dwellings that had been built around the year 1200. On the Colorado Plateau, far away from big cities and their artificial lights, they saw the most magnificent night sky. They had never seen so many stars, even the Milky Way was visible. Further north, in Utah, they visited the Arches National Monument. Cor felt like giant sculptors had been at work there, and was in awe of Mother Nature for being able to make such incredible shapes. Driving through the Wasatch Mountains, they saw fall had arrived. There was snow on the mountaintops, and the trees had all sorts of gorgeous colors. They returned to civilization for the first time on their trip when they arrived in Salt Lake City. It was harder to get used to the busyness than they had expected. The Mormon temple was on their list of sights to see, and they had a guided tour where they learned all about their new neighbor's religion. The Salt Lake, which the city is named after, was another stop, and they tasted the water just to make sure. It was very salty. On their way back south again, they stopped at Bryce Canyon National Park. It was a lot cooler there, and Cora needed help from the manager of the cabins to get the car started the next morning because it had been 23 degrees Fahrenheit that night, and the cabins were at a height of 3,000 meters up in the mountains. Zion National Park, their next stop, was their favorite of the parks they had visited on this trip, with beautiful landscapes and many wonderful hikes. Driving further south through Nevada, where there have been many nuclear weapons tests, they avoided the casinos but did visit the world's largest dam at that time, the Hoover Dam. Via Lake Arrowhead, a popular weekend destination for people from LA, they drove home again, back to the busy roads of Los Angeles and the 2 weeks' worth of letters from their family and friends that were waiting at home. It had been a spectacular holiday, and they had gotten the chance to see a lot more of what America had to offer.